All right, let's just get straight to it. Most backpackers waste thousands of dollars in Australia and don't even realize they're doing it.
It's a blunt way to start, Jack, but it's completely true. You land in Sydney or Melbourne, the sun is shining, and your brain just switches off all financial planning.
It switches into full holiday mode. Any logic you had on the plane just goes right out the window.
You think you've got this grand plan, this solid budget, but within a month, sometimes within 2 weeks, your bank account is sending you desperate signals for help. We've both been there.
Oh, absolutely. I think my bank account actually blocked my number for a while. So today, we're diving into the biggest, most common, and frankly, most avoidable mistakes we see backpackers make.
And that we made ourselves, let's be honest. We're here to help you not repeat our very expensive errors.
Exactly. Welcome to the show, everyone. Let's call this episode How Not to Go Broke in Oz.
All right, first on the chopping block, and we did touch on this in our last podcast, but it's so important we have to say it again. The mistake of only applying for jobs online.
This is my biggest pet peeve. It drives me crazy. I see people in hostels sitting there for 8 hours a day, scrolling through Seek and Indeed, sending out 100 generic resumes.
Right.
Sending out 100 generic resumes, and then they complain that there are no jobs in Australia. No, you're just doing it wrong.
It's such a comfort zone thing. It feels productive, but for so many of the jobs backpackers actually get, hospitality, construction, retail, it's just not effective.
Not at all. Australia is still, for better or worse, a place where face-to-face interaction matters. You have to print out a stack of resumes, walk into bars, cafes, restaurants, construction sites, and ask to speak to the manager.
It shows confidence. It shows you're actually in the country and ready to work tomorrow. It puts you ahead of the 500 anonymous emails they've received.
100%. So, what's the quick fix for this one, Sam?
It's a simple rule, the 1 to 2 ratio. For every 1 hour you spend applying for jobs online, you must spend 2 hours pounding the pavement and handing out CVs in person.
I like that. Force yourself out of the hostel, even if it's terrifying. That's usually a sign you're doing something right.
Okay, mistake number 2, living in the wrong area when you first arrive.
Ah, yes, landing in Sydney and immediately deciding you have to live in Bondi, or Melbourne and heading straight for St. Kilda.
You see it every single day. People signing a lease on an expensive room in a glamorous suburb before they even have a job or even know where they're likely to find work.
And they're paying $1,000 a week for a bunk bed with 3 other people, and their view is a brick wall, but they can say they live in Bondi. It's madness.
And the commute kills you. You're living by the beach, but you get a construction job an hour and a half away on the train. Suddenly, you're spending 3 hours a day commuting and a huge chunk of your paycheck on public transport.
Makes no sense. The dream versus the reality.
So, the quick fix when you first land, live centrally in a well connected, slightly less glamorous suburb for the first month or two. In Sydney, think Newtown or Surrey Hills. In Melbourne, maybe Brunswick or Fitzroy.
And there's a social cost too. If all your new work friends live centrally and you're way out by the beach, you'll miss out on social events or spend the fortune on late night Ubers just to be part of the community you're trying to build. Get your feet on the ground. Find out where your job is and then move to your dream spot if you can afford it. Or just accept that your working holiday life might not be on the beach 24/7. Controversial, I know.
And honestly, the next mistake is probably the one that drains people's bank accounts the fastest. This leads us perfectly to mistake number 3, staying in holiday mode and spending way too much money when you first arrive.
I am personally and financially acquainted with this mistake. My first month in Sydney, I shudder if you think about it. I ate out for every single meal. I was ordering $20 cocktails like it was my job.
It's a classic personal story because everyone does it. You get caught up in the excitement, you're meeting new people, everyone's going out, and you justify it by saying, I'm on a once in a lifetime trip.
Right, but that once-in-a-lifetime trip is going to last 6 weeks if you keep that up. People forget it's a working holiday. The working part has to come first, or the holiday part ends very abruptly.
I had a friend who blew through $5,000 in his first month and had to fly home. He never even got to see the Great Barrier Reef.
That's the nightmare scenario. It happens more than you think.
So the quick fix here is about discipline. Give yourself a strict weekly budget for that first month. Use the hostel kitchen. Cook your own meals. It's not glamorous, but it's essential.
And embrace the cheap Aussie wine, known lovingly as goon. It's a rite of passage for a reason. Limit yourself to 1 or 2 big nights out a week, not 7.
Okay, on to number 4. This one is less about money and more about opportunities, not getting your essential certifications sorted out immediately.
The RSA for serving alcohol, the white card for construction, all the boring admin that people put on the back burner.
Exactly. You hear people say, oh, I'll get my RSA once I find a bar that wants to hire me.
Which is completely backwards logic. It's like saying you'll get a driver's license after you buy a car. No one will hire you without it. You're literally unemployable for that role.
And you miss out on perfect opportunities. A bar manager might say, you seem great. Can you start tonight? And you have to say, actually, I need to do a course first, so maybe next week.
And they just say, don't worry about it, and hire the next person who walks in with their RSA certificate in hand. I've seen it happen.
It's a simple fix for this one, thankfully.
The easiest fix of all. Book your courses for your first week in the country before you even get tempted by the beach. Get the admin done. It is a financial investment that will pay for itself with your very first paycheck.
Number 5 is a bit more of a mindset mistake, and that's staying too comfortable in the hostel bubble.
I call it the hostel vortex. You check in for a week, find a few friends, get into a routine, and suddenly it's 3 months later. You're still there, sleeping in a dorm, hanging out with the same 5 people, and you haven't actually accomplished anything.
It's a massive trap. It feels safe and it's easy, which is why it's so dangerous, but it kills your progress. You're not meeting locals, you're not finding those unique, off the books job opportunities, you're just existing.
You're not building a real network. Let's be blunt. The people who get the best jobs or find the coolest share houses are the ones who break out of that bubble. They talk to people who aren't just other backpackers.
Totally. So the quick fix is to give yourself a deadline, a hard limit.
Right, decide you will stay in your first hostel for 1 week or 2 weeks maximum. Your entire goal for that time is to network and find a room in a share house on Flatmates Finders or Facebook Marketplace. Pop the bubble before it even forms.
All right, our final big mistake for today, number 6, is bad travel timing. And this is a huge one for a country the size of a continent.
Oh, a classic blunder, showing up in Cairns in February in the middle of the wet season, wondering why it's raining all day and where all the tourists and bar jobs are.
Or heading to a famous farm work town like Bundaberg when it's completely out of harvest season and there's literally no work for months.
People just don't do the basic research. They think Australia is just one giant, hot, sunny place all year round. I had a mate who went down to Tasmania in the middle of winter to save money on rent. He was miserable and just sat inside for 2 months because it was freezing.
That's such a perfect example of what not to do. You have to follow the sun. You work in the south during the southern summer and head north for the southern winter.
It's the backpacker mantra: follow the work, follow the sun.
And the quick fix is the easiest thing in the world. Google. Seriously, a 5-minute search for best time to visit North Queensland or harvest seasons for Victoria will save you months of frustration and unemployment.
Plan your route around the weather and the seasonal work. It's that simple.
So when you break it down, it's actually pretty simple. Most people don't struggle in Australia because it's too hard.
They struggle because they make the same avoidable mistakes over and over again.
Exactly. Stay out of holiday mode, get your admin sorted early, and don't just sit behind a screen waiting for a job to come to you.
And if you get the basics right early on, everything else becomes a lot easier.
You'll save money, get a job faster, and actually enjoy the experience instead of stressing the whole time.
Which is kind of the whole point of coming to Australia in the first place. All right, that's it from us. Stay smart out there. If you have found this podcast helpful, please like, subscribe, and share.